during your
12
mouth.
senior members of the Hamas terrorist organization
use it as
and
like
in its
medicine.
government branch. All of them are terrorists.
Can use anything
All
as
of them
medicine.
took part in the October 7th massacre.
No.
A new Israeli strategy
What we
is to
found
gain
is once
control
we added that
of more
little
sections
bit
of Gaza if
sprinkle of salt on the
Hamas
top,
refuses
it
to
just
surrender the
opens up the
hostages.
flavor in your mouth.
This
and you're
leaves
like,
That I've
whole
realized. All you
cities
need
like
to do in
Rafah
life
cut off from the rest of Gaza.
is live.
And Hamas
That's
is
the
reportedly facing
tickles the
major
taste buds
of the
problems
Obama
inside its organization
countless other fans of
following
Iran
Israeli
doing something.
assassinations of top
And I'm not
leaders.
knocking on doing
Meanwhile,
that.
Iran is now reportedly pulling its forces out
But I
of
always
Yemen
have to get the
amid
salt
the U.S. airstrikes.
I need some
Bombing
objective.
campaign is aimed
It
to
needs to
stop
be
the
like
Houthis
a mission.
from
I
firing
need
its
to always
ballistic
be
missiles at
going here,
Israel
doing this,
and
doing
shipping
this,
in the Red Sea.
evolving,
The Houthis have caused a severe
Another type of
disruption
candy
to
not only
global
satisfies
trade.
your sweet tooth,
President Trump
you know,
says he
but also
believes the
freshens your
Iranians
breath.
will come around
I
to
still do
direct talks
Or
with the
does
U.S.
what I realized.
Despite their public denials, they won't talk to America.
Is that all you need to
The
do
White
is
House
live.
is demanding
This
Iran
factory in
give
Chicago
up its nuclear
turns out the
program.
number one
Trump
selling
also
hard
says
candy
Israeli
in the
life
Prime
States.
Minister
is the
Benjamin
spiral.
Netanyahu may
It's
come
the
to Washington
spiral
again
of
as soon
expansion.
as next week. It's
Here's a
another
hint.
sign of the
You'll
improved
encounter it most
relations
often on
since
top
the
of your
Biden
restaurant menu.
administration.
Everything
Or
that
your
you
hotel
need to
Also in
pillow.
happen is
Washington,
going to
Senator
come to
Bernie
you
Sanders
within the
continues
spiral.
his
Look,
efforts
the
an
peppermint
to break
Starlight
up
Mint.
American
It's going to
military
Made by
spiral
support
back
Portos
for
around and
Candy.
it's
Israel.
going to come back.
He
Every
put
year,
forth
Americans
two
pop
bills to stop
$36
Everything
million
that you
of these
need to
iconic
happen in
$8
your
favorites
life is
into
worth
going to
of
McDonald's
U.S.
happen.
arms
for a
sales.
sweet
Whether
rush
you
Both bills were
fresh
try
bread.
defeated
to make it
by
happen
more
or
than
not,
80
That
votes
fresh
against
it's
feeling
going to
them.
comes from
happen.
Still,
Peppermint's
15
main active
Democrats
ingredient,
stood with efforts to
menthol.
stop the
You're
arms
going to
sales.
end up
Menthol, which is
where you're
Axios
meant to
reported
end
the
up,
vote shows the
regardless
divisions
of
in the
because it
party
what you
over the
think
war
or
in
what you
Gaza
do or
One
with
is
the Israeli
obviously
how you
government.
clean
occupy
up
your
Chris
and
time.
make
Mitchell,
your mouth
CBN
feel
News,
fresh after the
Jerusalem.
All you
meal.
need to do is just
But
keep
the
Well, the
other
going.
thing
divisions
is,
within the
it
Democrat
actually
Party are
acts like a
definitely
GI tract on your
concerning
gut
to anyone
to
who
move
is a
things
supporter
along.
of
We're
So your
just
Israel.
stomach
we're just
empties
in
a
this
little
It
big
just
more
shows the
ocean,
quickly,
deep
right? And
so you
we're
don't
divide
feel
swimming or
quite
we're
so full
floating
and
in it.
uncomfortable.
so-called
All you have
progressive
to do is just
wing
keep
of the
paddling or
party
float.
is
The first step in the
absolutely
recipe
Don't give up,
is to
and
cook a
that's it.
mixture of
That's all you
sugar
need to
and
do in
arming
corn
life.
syrup.
Israel, allowing
Like, that's
Israel
really
to
it.
defend itself.
Cooking to 300
Now,
degrees.
these are
Just give
things
you a
that we
freedom.
should all pay
Because
very
when you
close
realize all you need
attention
to do is
to.
live.
America has to stand
You know,
strong
there's
with
the doers,
Israel. It's the
and then
only
there's
democracy
beers.
in the region.
98%
Here's a
solid.
fact
people are
for
always
you, and
eating
it
it.
may be a surprising fact.
And some
What
people can just
country
be
in the Middle
like, you know
East
how a cat or
allows
any animal,
Muslims freedom of
you know how a
After the
cat just
mixture
can
is fully
sit there
cooked,
and it
workers
just
freedom
add
of
the
religion,
all-important
just
peppermint.
where
exists.
you can
It's
believe
And
so
it can sit
what
there
you
for
want
hours
to
that all it
believe.
takes is a
so
couple of
What country
teaspoons,
in the Middle
It's
East
because
does
that
that?
cat
representing
doesn't
just
care about doing
0.2 of
anything.
1%
All the other
That,
countries
of the
have
final
all
product.
kinds of
animal doesn't care about
restrictions,
doing
and if
anything.
you're not Muslim enough,
This is
you're
neurosis.
subject to
This is
extreme
a
penalties,
result of the
including
thinking
being
mind.
killed. You look at that
It's weird.
map
It's like when you
and
do
go,
things
well, where's
because
liberty
peppermint oil
for Muslims?
is way
Well,
too
it's
strong
right in the heart of
to
Israel.
have without
So
candy
why in
base.
the world would progressives
After
when
the
you
liquid
realize
syrup
that
cooks for
you
5
don't need
minutes,
to be
say,
doing
well,
something,
we
workers
want to
pour it onto a
support the
cooler
other
and that you
side.
can just
We
exist
want to
and
support
just be.
Hamas, and Hamas
Now,
is
within 10
calling for the
minutes,
absolute
this
Now you're
destruction
not
of
doing
Israel
things because you
and
feel like
will be
murdering every single
transformed into
Jew there.
10,000
And so that's
finished
what we're
minutes.
going
Now
to
you're doing
support.
things
It makes
because you
no
want
sense to me that
This
any
table
American would
has
do
Can you
that.
see the
water
difference?
running through
In
it.
other
Can you
news,
feel the
President
difference?
Trump says he's willing to negotiate
you
with
feel
other
like you need
countries
to be
over
doing-
his
you need to go to
terrorists.
work.
Cool the
John
candy.
Jessup has
The
more on
candy
that
right
story
now,
from
as
our
you see,
CBN
is
News
to
Bureau in
work.
Washington.
It's like
Scott?
there's tension.
Thanks, Gordon. The president
There's
asked on
resistance.
Air Force One if he's receptive to deals on his
When you switch
tariffs.
from the
As
doing
soon
Open
as
the
the
door
candy
to that
firms up
to the
possibility.
being mindset,
Mechanical arms needed
and
for
suddenly
taffy like
everything is
consistency.
because you want to do it.
giving us something that's
Then workers transfer the gooey mass to the
Still,
molding
China
table.
today
That's
saying
different
it will
because
impose a
it's relaxed.
34% tariff
It's instead
on
of
all
like
U.S.
feeling
imports
like
starting
you're
next
getting
week.
tugged on
The
the
stock
chain
futures
rather
starting
than
off
just
cooked and
lower
mixed
again
up on the
today
side of
after
the kitchen.
Thursday's major
Joins the
sell-off on
white
concerns
candy mass.
over tariffs and
You know?
the expectation they could slow
Then, like
economic
kids playing with
growth.
Play-Doh.
I say a lot of the
Economists
same
They
are
things.
roll
downgrading
both
their
red and
outlook
white
for the rest of
sections
this
into
year.
long
And I think that's
But the
because
president says
it's
the
my core
economy
Right now,
will
they're
message.
making
boom
the
in
This
the
is
decision
longer
what I
term.
have to get out there.
Well, more than
Because this is
30 million
the work of
Americans
my
are under
life.
flood launches after more than 30
This is what I
tornadoes
always
hit
focus
states
on
across the
my whole
South and Midwest.
This is what I'm teaching.
At least 7 people were killed in the storms,
So I'm gonna
5 of them in Tennessee. The city of Selma, Tennessee, hit hard by tornadoes. In Nashville, heavy rain covering the streets, with the governor declaring a state of emergency. Now, many areas could face what officials call, quote, generational flooding, with up to 15 inches of rain possible in some places. Turning now to the sports world, as America's top college basketball teams square up in Saturday's Final Four, followed by a championship game Monday night. It's not all fun and games for everyone, though. Americans are wagering more than $3 billion on March Madness this year. CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson looks at the dark side of online sports betting and how people can get help.
People view online sports betting as harmless fun, but then find themselves
Rolling
losing their student loan money, their home, or worse. In fact, experts say of all addictions, gambling has the highest rate of suicide.
Seeing these second-half odds, I'm going to like that on the win.
Ever since the Supreme Court cleared the way for legalized sports betting in 2018, gambling has skyrocketed.
We look at brain chemistry from gambling. It works very similarly to brain chemistry with cocaine.
Winning triggers the release of dopamine, creating a euphoric feeling and the urge to recapture that rush.
We know that the earlier someone starts to gamble, the more likely they are to develop health problems later in life, and especially if you're doing it
because
before you're
like
legal
so
age.
immersed in the
Research shows
thing when you're scrolling on
60%
your
of
phone,
high schoolers
what
and
happens is you naturally
70%
the
of
most
college
effective
students
countermeasure to
place
bad
habits.
bets in
Proper dental hygiene.
2023.
You don't have
It can be
But men
on
can
the palm of
automate
your
good brushing and
hand,
flossing
on a mobile
habits.
If you
device,
train yourself to have
24/7,
enough
games are running all the time.
Financial
then
problems,
you don't need to
obsession
scroll on your
with
phone
games,
anymore
and
to do
the
it. There's nothing
inability
wrong
to
with that.
stop can be
But you
signs
could
of
sit here